Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. As you all know, the Blade Show got canceled this year, but that's no reason we can't still celebrate and hang out with our coolest friends. So we're bringing Blade Show to you this week, and we're starting out here with Mr. L.T. Wright of L.T. Wright Knives. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, David. Thank you guys for doing this. This is a really cool thing. I'm kind of digging it. Taught up here in Ohio, and any reason to get out in front of the grinder and sit in my hot office, by golly, I'm all.
Well, I don't think it would have been much cooler in Atlanta, so we're probably okay up there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you for that. So, but yeah,
Well,
it's a shame we've lost, 3-4 months of stuff just in general shows, and then the big one being the Blade Show.
yeah, for sure. But you guys did have a knife that sort of was going to be a Blade Show release. We've actually had it here at the Knife Center a little bit already, and that's the GP Medium, which is a great little knife, but since this is the quote-unquote official, we're going to call this the official Blade Show Week unveil. Tell
Right.
us a little bit about that fine blade.
Well, originally it's a Tim Stetzer design, and if you remember Tim, I've known Tim a number of years back when I was making stuff in my basement years and years ago. Met Tim at a gun show, and we talked a little bit. He was real into knives, and he was writing at the time and wanted to do a write-up on me early on in my knife making career, way back. And so we've been friends ever since. And then he was the original designer of the Bushcrafter. And
Which I've actually got right here. Fine little knife.
Yeah, and we've been friends. And he was throwing around this idea for the GP Medium, which is a nice utility style blade. And, we talked about it off and on a little bit. And then finally we did around a few prototypes and messed with it a little bit and then fine-tuned it here and there. And then came up with how to present it and where it kind of would fall in. So that's where we came up with the GP Medium, and basically in a utility version. And as you said, we were planning on this being one of the knives that we were going to debut and really push hard at this year's Blade Show. Getting it, being the EDC fixed blade. I know a lot of people are into carrying folders, and personally I carry one of our folders as well as my everyday opening packages, getting the mail, cutting my lunch meat, whatever, knife. But I also am a big fan of carrying a fixed blade a lot. If I go down to our property and then mowing grass, I like to have a fixed blade to do things with. So this really falls in with that in the fact that even if you're using this knife with a gloved hand, there's a generous handle on it that gives you a nice, grip all the way around.
That's one of the things I definitely like about it myself, too, is a lot of times when the blade gets shorter, the handle does too. And I like this. You've got a shorter blade, so it's a little easier to carry, but you still have that full working grip. Even with a pair of work gloves on, you can still get a nice grip on that blade.
Exactly, and that's kind of the direction that we were heading with that, is to make it as comfortable as we can. Now, again, when you're looking at EDC stuff, size and comfort are very, very important. Okay, let's face it. If you came to me and you came up with one of those Clint Eastwood 44 Magnums with a 10.5-inch barrel and showed me the shoulder rig you're going to wear it in, I'm going to go, David, you're going to wear that thing for about a week, and that's it, because it's going to be too heavy. It's going to be too uncomfortable. Same kind of thing with fixed blades. We all like the big, right, choppers. Yeah, everybody wants a chopper. But are you really going to carry it? Are you really going to use it? So there is a fine line, in my opinion, of where does that blade fall in? And this is one of those, to me, that falls in that mindset of, this is large enough to do what I want to do with it. Small to medium tasks. Now, I'm not going to go be chopping firewood with this thing, but anything that I want to use with it, but yet it's not intrusive too much on the large side to where it is, number one, uncomfortable to wear, or something that's just too heavy and it's too bulky.
Or just unwieldy in your day-to-day life.
Hey, let's face it, if we're jumping in and out of the truck all day working on, whether I'm a lineman, working on some lines or something, if I'm working fence, if I'm out on a farm, I can't be having this thing snag or hang up or bump onto things every time I'm turning around. Because again, quickly, and it probably won't even take a week, a day or two, and you're like, I am not carrying this. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things where I think this knife falls in that size range. And with a few different carry options, I think this knife can really fine tune to the person that's looking to an EDC-able utility style blade.
Absolutely. I think it does a great job at that. And you're using AEB-L steel, stainless steel right now on that knife?
Yes, and that is one of my favorite stainlesses, man. I fell into that a few years ago. I was always a big fan of the 12C27, the 13C stuff, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah.
Always thought that was a great steel. I liked the way it sharpened up relatively easy for me when I wasn't. Now, naturally, I have all the tools here that I can do whatever I want with any steel. But, you know, if I'm in my home shop or something, I could always bring those steels back rather quickly and a nice edge. AEB-L falls right into that for me. We get some nice Rockwells, and again, relatively stainless. So that again, you know, for those guys that don't clean up their stuff every single day, that could be important.
And very tough for a stainless too.
It is. It is. And another thing that I found about the steel that I like is the thickness of the blade. Let's say we're working from 3/32 up to 5/32. I think that you're getting great attributes out of that. Now, edge geometry, you know, you're going to have to pay attention to that. But sometimes blade steels lend themselves to a different thickness a little better than the others. I like this thing all the way through 3/32, 1/8, 5/32. I'm pleased with this steel on all three thicknesses.
I can remember when you know, LT and I go back a few years, and we were at a camping trip, and you brought out some prototypes. Some prototype GNSs, which of course is this bushcraft design here, but you had them in a 3/32 convex AEB-L. It was the dead of winter, and we were batoning that thing through some frozen hard cherry. Not a chip or roll on it. I mean, that right there convinced me, and which is why I'm a big fan of that steel as well.
Yeah, and then in the 3/32, you get out above like a 4-inch blade or longer, you're going to get some flexibility in that too as well. And it's just a great working steel. And I think that this knife size and design really comes in nicely for the guy, the worker, you know, the guy that's really going to be working his knives, and we're not just collecting them. And again, when we talked about the carry options, there's a couple different carry options, you know, from anywhere from your standard, the hip sheath here, you know, just a standard drop-in style, to a dangler, which I know you're a fan of, and as I am too. And, you know, especially if you're wearing a backpack or just jumping in and out of the truck, a dangler's a great knife sheath to carry because it'll lay on the seat and it doesn't poke down in. And then all the way up to our full-on utility style sheath with a button snap top. You know, that gives you a tight end to your body carry with full, you know, retention of the knife. And that is important to a lot of people. A lot of people like that full retention style sheath.
Just a little extra bit of security.
It is. You know what? When you're out by yourself somewhere, that little bit more peace of mind is not a bad thing.
Yeah, peace of mind is not something to overrate. Like,
no,
you want to be comfortable with your equipment for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, for those of you out there who haven't tried an LT Wright before, I certainly suggest you go check one out. But since we've got the man here, tell folks what makes your knives special. Like, why would you buy an LT Wright? What goes into creating one of these knives?
Well, I have been making knives since early 2000s, and I was taught by a man named R.W. Wilson, and I actually met him at a gun show. A buddy of mine was going to a gun show, and we were looking at guns, and I came across that, and I was really into knives. And I said, boy, that's pretty cool. I want to learn how to do that. And he offered to teach me. So I got to spend a lot of nights after my day job over in his shop watching him make knives and cutting some steel out for him and different things. And that's how I learned knife building. And then he actually was generous enough to say, hey, LT, you want to go with me to some shows? So not only did he teach me how to make the knife, he also showed me how to interact with the public that was buying the knives and how to display and talk to people and see what the public was into and what they wanted, you know, for their next knife. So I could kind of keep up on it that way. So I learned a lot from him. I owe a lot to him for that. when we decided to go full time, it was like, well, how do I want to do this? Early on, I forged some knives with Greg Gottschalk and another friend of mine, Bruce Godleski. They're both from PA, and I credit them with teaching me how to forge knives. But I was at a point where I wanted to do this full time. I had a bunch of hobby orders, and I was like, hey, I need to make this jump, but I don't think I can make a living forging because I wasn't that fast at the time, but I think I could do it stock removal. So I kind of geared that way and wanted to create a company that I could bring guys into and bring guys up. Now, right before the whole COVID shutdown, we had about 12 people work for the company, and we had tons of orders out in front of us, and everything's going good. Naturally, we got deemed non-essential, so we had to shut down for that period of time, and we were able to come back in early May and get back online and running. Well, we're not completely back up to speed yet, but we're still on that idea and focus forward. We don't have a lot of computer controlled machines other than our computers that we do our social media with and stuff. We have a shop bot that we use to cut handles and generally patterns of knives. So when we come up with a design, we'll cut it out at G10 on our shop bot to see if we like it, make sure, does it fit the hand well? And do some prototyping with it that way, and even with some handles. We do our fire steel handles on there and some different things. But everything else is done with a person, and you're standing behind the machines. For example, this morning is our finish grind day. We're getting ready for our virtual blade bolt that we're going to be having. So we're finish grinding some knives so that we can put some handles on it. So today there's 4 of us in the back. Mikey's back there doing some finished flats, and me, Sam, and Nick are working on doing finished grind scandies. And we set up.
But it's all you guys standing behind the grinder, doing it by hand.
Yes, we are standing there, and we are doing it by hand through the different grits. So every part of that knife is looked at by us, and we just continually perfect our craft. It is the way we do it. There's not a machine spitting a knife out at the end of it. It is a person putting it, right down to the sanding and the cutting of paper as they come through the door. These are constantly checked. Now, another thing that we do in the back when we're grinding is at the end of our grind cycle, and we have everything ready to go, not only have they been looked at by each one of us, they still will get a final check by one of us, generally me, that will bring it up under a brand new set of lights somewhere different in the shop, and we will look those over again before they go to build. And then after build and roll down cycles, they're still looked at 2, 3, 4 more times before they go out the door. We do our best to put out the best product that we can.
The fact that you're doing it at a handmade level or handcrafted level like that for the prices you do is really incredible. I mean, I'll pick up this Bushcrafter I have in front of me again. This is the HC Bushcrafter, which 1075 steel, micarta handles, all done by hand, and these start like just over 100 with a sheath. I mean, come on.
No, I agree with you. It is a great place to start. I like using that 1075. We use it on our machetes as well. For an entry-level bushcrafter is where my thought process was when I first put it together. And I was like, man, this is a great knife because you can learn how to sharpen with this. You can take it out. You can enjoy this knife as you move through it. And then I started getting reports and emails of guys that I know who I consider professional bushcrafters, that have maybe been on TV shows and have their own systems of bushcrafting out there going, hey, this thing is really cool. And this is my main knife now. And then I started rethinking, it's like, because they're seeing the value in the thin, small 4-inch blade that you can field sharpen extremely easy, and it's a lot of fun to use that knife. And I know I've seen you use that knife before.
Oh, absolutely. Before I started here at the Knife Center, I used to write for a blog, and I did a review on the Bushcrafter HC. Loved it. Great knife.
Yeah.
Great knife.
Oh, it's good. And I've been blessed with some really good guys that when we teach someone how to make a knife, my goal is to make that guy better than I am. And if I can make that next knife maker come up, bring our whole craft up one more notch, man, that's the cool thing. you don't want to keep, there. People say, yeah, but you want to show him everything you know. It's like, yes. And then I want him to get better than that, because you know what? 20 years from now, can you imagine what we're putting out for knives if everyone keeps getting better and better? So I am super excited when one of the guys, like, they eclipse where I'm at, because I may not tell them that they're, but I get that little like, yeah, he's got this.
That's a proud moment, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is, because, and it's not something that is an easy thing. I told many people when they walk in the door to go to work with us, like, guys, it's going to take you 1,000 knives before you know how to make a knife. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, because the first one's going to be easy. There's nothing to that first one, because you really don't have anything to go by. So that first one's great. Then they start getting harder. And then when you make a mistake, learning how to fix your mistakes. And then how to fix the other people's mistakes in the shop and all those things. Those are the things that make you a great craftsman, a great maker. How to problem solve your way through the knife craft. My heat treat didn't come out quite right. I got a warped knife. Well, you got to learn how to straighten that knife. I got to reheat treat. Well, you got to learn how to reheat treat. I got a gap in my. Well, you're gonna have to take the handles off and start over. My shoulders are off. There's so much to the handmade craft that excites me every day. And sometimes you think, my gosh, you've made 10,000 Genesis. Aren't you tired of making Genesis? And I'm going to sit there and tell you, no, I'm not, because I am searching for that Excalibur knife. And I'll let you know when I get there.
Fantastic. All right, I got one more question for you. You mentioned the virtual vault, which you guys are doing in lieu of the Blade Show at the same weekend of the Blade Show, or that Friday, I believe, yes?
Correct.
Is that going to be open to the public, or is that a Pout House only thing? And can you tell our audience about the Pout House?
Oh, you bet. Friday night is a Pout House thing. Basically, the Pout House gets first shot at anything new or any specialty things that we do. We have some other things in there. There's a lot going on in there right now. There's a barter house where you can buy and sell trade knives among each other. We have truck threads, we have camping threads, hammock threads. You just about name whatever we're interested in as a group, and there's something going on in there about it. Yeah, it's definitely about knives mainly, but we talk about watches, for example. Coffee cups, you name it, we got going on.
But if you're a lover of an LT Wright knife, you need to be in the Pout House for them, is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. We got cool stuff, and we always have. We don't discount our knives in the world, but we do give special deals to Pout House members, and shirts and hats and badges and cool things going on. So Friday night is a Pout House only show. Okay, and that's going to be from 6:30 to 9 on Friday night, and we'll be putting up the YouTube videos. Now on Saturday, I believe 12 to 4, which was August the 8th, because that would have been when we were at Blade Show. We're going to go ahead and do a virtual vault for the public. That'll be on Facebook and YouTube, and we will have all our knives available. And we do a live show where we sit there and chat, and Mike will be working 2 or 3 computer screens, looking at questions from Instagram and Facebook, and we try to have a really good time, as we do it.
Well, they're a lot of fun. I'm certainly looking forward to it myself.
Yeah.
LT, thanks so much for taking the time with us today to show us this knife. And like I said, I know you guys are running full speed trying to catch up after the shutdown, so I won't take up any more of your time.
Oh, no, not a problem. Thank you guys for all you're doing. This is a really cool thing that I think you're doing, and I, for one, am glad to be a part of it. And if you need anything at all, please reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you, brother.
Will do. Thank you so much, LT. All right, everyone, thanks for watching with us. We'll make sure to leave links down in the description. It'll take you over to KnifeCenter.com, where you can see all the cool products we've got in stock there. And yeah, go check out the Pout House. I'm a member. It's a real cool place to be.